Hello crafters, thank you for being with me today. I am so happy to have you here. So today is actually a Monday mix-up card. Just so happens I'm doing it on a Tuesday though. This last week I went to Indiana with my daughter to celebrate a bridal shower for my niece, and my daughter's one of the bridesmaids, so she went to the bachelorette party. So we were out of town all weekend, so Monday became Tuesday for me. So I'm very excited though to share this project with you. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's fairly simple, but I really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and change the camera view and see what we're going to make today. Okay, so one thing I really enjoy is making funny cards. And there's a few companies out there that really come out with some hilarious sayings. And then there's some other companies that, rather than the little critters that are all so cute and cuddly, they give their images really funny expressions. So I'm going to share some of those products with you today, and maybe you'll find that you enjoy this as well. So the products that we're going to be using today, one of my favorites is Whimsy Stamps. And Whimsy Stamps is great at just making these little animals and critters and even people sometimes with really expressive faces. And I find them to be just really useful to use with the funny sayings. So here I have the shark. That's lots of funny expressions, and they have lots of these. I only have a few, but here's one of octopuses, and one of my all-time favorites is the ostrich. So the ones we're going to be using today are the ostrich and the donkeys. So we're not going to use the water ones, but if you go over to whimsy.com, you'll find several different sets of these fun characters with the fun expressions. Okay, some other companies that we're going to be using, All in Create. They make several sets that are little, I don't know, you can call them snarky, funny, just a little, not your usual run-of-the-mill quotes, you know, they'll just be funny. We're going to be using this one today. It says, you really don't need to drive me crazy. I'm close enough to walk. So I think that's a good one. And then another company that is great at this is Funny Bone. It's Riley and Company, and it's their Funny Bones line. And they have some really funny sayings. Sometimes they make me laugh out loud. So that's the other one. We're also going to pull in a stencil. And this particular stencil, I believe, I think it came from Simon Says Stamp. It might have come from Brutus Monroe. I go to both those places to get stamps. Oh, no, it's Simon Says Stamp. I can see the 3 little S's down here before it's etched into it. So this is a Simon Says Stamp. Now, this is just speech bubbles. If you have speech bubble dies, really whatever way you have speech bubbles, you can use for a project like this. So. But it's good to have speech bubbles on hand of different sizes. I'm also going to pull in some honeybee stamp paper, and we're going to be using this one here with the little black dots and the rainbow stripes. And then I'll also need one small piece of just black cardstock. And I'm also going to be pulling in a little bit of Catherine Pooler. I'm going to be using Catherine Pooler inks. But I'm also going to be using this, I think it's called Call Me. And this is a Catherine Pooler set, but it's got some words that say blah, 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 blah. And I thought that went really well with one of our funny sayings. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the ones that I've already got made, and then we're going to make one ourselves. So this one says, sometimes your knight in shining armor turns out to be an idiot in tinfoil. And so you can imagine this little guy being your idiot in tinfoil. This right here is the one we're going to add the blah, blah, blah to. It says, in life, it's important to know when to stop arguing with people and simply let them be wrong. And so this is the kind of the guy listening, and this one over here is just blah, 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 blah. So we're going to add that little stamp to this one. This little guy's cheesy face, he's saying, sometimes I wonder what happened to the people who asked me for directions. So all of these would just be used as kind of plain note cards, but might give the recipient a little smile. So this one says, it's never too late to be what you want to be unless you want to be younger, and then you're screwed. So this guy's just laughing. And then here's the one from All in Create. You don't need to drive me crazy. I'm close enough to walk, and I just like this little face here with his tongue sticking out. So one thing you may have noticed on my little black strips, they get progressively smaller as you go. So the one that we're going to be doing today is the very last one, so it's going to have a little bit wider strip down the side, and that's just a way to kind of coordinate them, but make them a little bit different also. All right, so we are going to begin with just a white blank note card. And to start, let me go ahead and get our little donkey that we want to use. And the particular saying that we're going to use on this one, let's see here, is the Riley and Company. And it says, I'm pretty sure that my last words are going to be, well, crap, that didn't work. And so if you're a person that is always trying new ways of doing things and it takes you several tries, I thought that was a funny expression. So we're going to be using this little donkey right here that kind of looks like he's grimacing from, oops, another mistake. So we'll put him about right here. I do want to go ahead and I'm going to take my stencil and my stamp, and I'm just going to kind of size it and see which one I want to use. There's several that it might fit in, but I think this one right here is going to be the one I want to use. So before I start stamping anything, I want to just make sure that where I place my donkey, my sentiment is still going to fit. Now, it's okay with me if his ear kind of comes up into my speech bubble a little bit, but I think about right here is where I want my donkey. All right, so we're going to stamp him first, and I'm just going to get my little Misty. Hopefully my sticky stamp mat is still going well there. And I'm going to stamp this in some alcohol ink, friendly ink, so I'm going to use the Memento. So Memento ink doesn't stamp quite as dark as some inks that I like, so I usually do it 2 or 3 times, which is why I'm using the Misty. My favorite ink for getting a nice dark image is the VersaFine Clear, but VersaFine Clear is not Copic friendly or alcohol ink friendly, so I am going to be using this Memento ink. There are some other inks out there that do work well with your alcohol inks. Lawn Fawn has one, and Gina K has one, and so, you know, any of those that you have that you know are friendly with alcohol inks would be fine to use. All right. I hope all of you are having a great start to your summer. There's been some bad storms going across Texas, but I think today the weather is finally going to get nicer, so we're excited about that. We're kind of tired of the rain. We're ready to be able to get in the pool and enjoy some summer activities. All right, so today I'm going to use just a few Olo markers. So if you have not seen the new Olo markers, they're going to probably be comparable. They're just alcohol ink markers with comparable to the Copic markers, but there's way fewer choices of colors, so your blending options are a little less, but they're great for coloring a little bit bigger images because they are continuous flow. They don't have a felt filler in the middle that kind of slows down the flow of the ink coming out. That they're just full of ink, and the flow is faster than what you'll get out of a Copic marker. All right, and we're just going to, I'm not going to do anything too fancy, but I'll just color him up real quickly. I'm going to add a little bit of the shadows first, and then just come in and finish coloring him up. Right. Use the lighter color here. And these are completely flat cards. I didn't, you know, die cut them or anything like that. I just like to make fast, kind of simple, funny cards. They're fun to mail. And the recipients, you know, might get a laugh out of it. So they're just kind of fun to do. You can make several of them in one day. If you only have an hour or so to craft, you can knock some of these out pretty quickly. So I'm going to come in with that dark and kind of finish up his ears and his mane. All right. And the next one I'm going to use is this one, and we'll just color up his, whoops, I forgot a piece of his nose. Highlights here on his chin. I think I got a different color here than what I used before, but that's okay. It'll work. There we go. Now I am just going to come back in with this brown and do right here across his nose. There we go. Okay, for my final color for this little guy, I'm going to come in with the palest blue color, and I'm just going to do a little bit of tracing on his teeth, just to add some shadow in there, and I'm also going to go around the whites of his eyes. And doing that, just make sure whites, anything that you're leaving white, if you go around with the blue, the really light blue, it just creates a little bit of shadow. You can also do that with a really pale gray color. Okay, so we are ready to add our stenciling. So I'm going to tape this down right here. Let's see. Well, I'll use a piece of this tape. There we go. Sometimes this tape can tear my paper, so since it's never been used before, I'm going to kind of get some of the sticky off on my hand there, hoping that it won't tear my paper. Okay, the other thing I want to use is just a piece of Post-it note, and I'm going to place that right here at the edge so that I don't accidentally, you know, overdo this and get it onto my paper, because this is flat and we're not going to be you know, die cutting it or anything like that. I don't want to accidentally make a mess on my paper. So all right, so we're just going to, you do want to be careful that you don't accidentally go over the edge there, but I'm just going to create this. I'm going to get one more of these to put over on this side. All right, so that's my lighter color yellow, and now I'm just going to come in with a little bit of this darker color. I'm going to tap off just a little bit and come in around the edges with this darker, the tiki torch, just to kind of define the edges of my speech bubble. All right. Fill that in just a little bit. All right. Let's pull these two pieces out. Let's look. Oh, turned out very well. There we go. There's our speech bubble. Now, to clean my stencils, whoops, didn't get my tape off. To clean my stencils, I'm going to put this little piece of paper underneath, and I'm just going to come in with a dry cloth, if I can find what I did with my dry cloth. I just had it. All right, I don't know what I've done with my dry cloth, but I usually just come in with a dry microfiber cloth and just wipe off my stencil. And that does a great job with Catherine Pooler inks. You don't need to use any kind of alcohol cleaner or anything like that when you're using the Catherine Pooler inks. They wipe off very nicely. Now, if you're using like an archival ink, then you might need to use some of the cleaners and things like that. So that's just a tip for you. And I cannot imagine what I have done with my little towel. But I've dropped it somewhere. All right, moving on. We're just going to go ahead and move forward. To stamp my sentiment here, I am going to use the VersaFine Clair because I can stamp it in one quick stamp. It'll stamp just fine. Now, one thing you want to watch out for when you're stamping words is use the lines on your stamping block to make sure that you have those words straight. And then you can also use your stamping block to get your side. Now, one thing I always like to do is turn it over and make sure that I'm right side up, because see, I was upside down. So you have to be careful of that. Always make sure that you've got it the right direction. And now I'm just going to fit that in there. A nice press. And there we go. Doesn't that just stamp so nicely? All right. It looks like I did get off just a little bit there on my stencil. Okay. Now to finish up our little funny saying here, I'm going to come in with a strip of my paper here, and let's see, I just need a little piece of the black. Here we go. And I'm pretty sure I want the black part to be towards the inside. So I'm just going to run a strip. You know, you don't always have to get like super crazy with your decorations. Sometimes just a simple strip of paper is all that's needed. And that's what I thought here with these, that it just didn't need a lot. I didn't want to take away from our cute little saying. There we go. Now I already have my black strip cut to the proper length. So now I'm just going to trim those ends off. There we go. Now just add this up the edge. Now one thing you do have to be careful when you have stamped with the VersaFine Clair is that it stays wet for quite a while. So if you touch this, it will smear. So either wait for it to dry. Here we go. Did I get that on there correctly? Yes. Okay, you can wait for it to dry, or you can hit it with your heat gun and give it a little bit of time to, that'll help it to dry faster. So okay, the next thing we're going to do is add our blah blah blah. So this is the final one in our set. You can see how it's a little bit wider still. So we'll just lay these up in here so you can see those. And for this one, we're going to use our piece right here to kind of be a mask for us. And I'm just going to add that in there. And I'm just going to kind of freehand this because it's really just in the background. Because our little guy here, he's just hearing blah, blah, blah in the background. So we don't need to be like super, specific about how we put the blah, blahs in. And I'm going to stamp them in a very light gray in the background, because it's almost like a background noise. Okay, now when I'm free stamping like this, I kind of like to put it on a piece of foam, and that ensures that you're going to get a little bit better stamp. So let's see here. I had two of these, but covered it up. Okay, so this one I'm just going to put right here to cover this. Right up here, we'll add a blah blah. Okay, and now on the other side next to it, I'm going to add a little bit more, so it's kind of underneath the speech bubble, but he's just hearing blah 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 blah. There we go. Now we'll come back around here. Oops, I got just a little bit there. But we're just adding that blah, blah, blah. Whoops. You see what I almost did? Okay. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to add just a little, one more down underneath him. And I think I can just fit it in about right here. Alright, so here's our final one with the little blah blahs added in. Alright. We'll go ahead and take a look here at our final, it's the second, the third, the fourth, and I'm not going to stack this one because I don't know if it's going to be done yet, but here we have a whole collection of just funny, fun, little snarky, just give a laugh. You know, cards are so fun to make. Now you could add some gems in here, you know, some things like that. Here, I'll put this one down here. Different things, but these little fun characters from Whimsy Stamp are just some of my favorites. And the Riley and Company Funny Bones and several other companies carry these funny little sayings. And it's just fun to do something a little different and create some funny cards. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. All right, I hope you've enjoyed creating with me today. Just some fast, simple, funny cards to have on hand to send to loved ones when you just need a little pick-me-up or have a reason to communicate and need to send it in a card. So, all right, I hope you've enjoyed this idea, and I will see you again this Friday. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.